3 weeks.
I win. Welcome. Great. Did I catch everybody? Yeah, I think. Okay, great. I see people pointing me in the right direction. I appreciate that. So again, welcome. Before we start with our moment of silence, happy holidays. Just got through the Thanksgiving season, and sometimes holidays can be a great time, but it can be a little tough for some people. So just keep that in mind as we enter into our moment of silence. Thank you. All right, we've got a very full agenda today. Apologies, I had to turn on the device, that helps. So as you can see, we have a very full agenda, so we will get right to it, starting with Carson Spearing. Did I see Carson? Is Carson? We will come back to Carson. Or no, we will not. Okay.
I think that I was to speak for.
Okay. We have a much better version of Carson Spearing. It has agreed to come talk to us. I think he needs no introduction, but I will anyway. Bill Carroll is going to give us a few words. Thanks.
Carson asked me to remind you of the ice cream social event on Friday. Sorry, I want ice cream. Cookies with Santa on Friday at 2 o'clock. Is it in this room?
Yes.
Okay, we'll be here. Cookies, I'll bring the ice cream. Okay, sorry. And also, as we come to the end of the year, the Residents Assistance Fund will be wrapped up at some point very soon. And if you have not made a contribution, Carson hopes that you will.
Thank you, Bill. Okay, so rumor mill alert. So these are actual rumors that we've heard from you or your peers. And so let's get to that. First one, administration is planning to really mess things up in the assisted living dining space at Root. Do you believe somebody said that? They did. That is not completely true. We don't plan to make life miserable. Our intention is to try to make it better. That process will, I'm sure, creates a little bit of mess. But we've got a very good team of experts that are planning what the refreshed Ruth will look like. So we're in the middle of that, and I'm excited about those plans, and we will introduce you to those at a later meeting. But there are plans, to refresh the Ruth dining room, including the AL space. But again, not trying to mess it up. The next rumor that we've heard, Friends Homes is going to start charging $100 per month for parking. Have you heard that? Did any of you start that rumor? It's actually $200 a month. That's not true either. So no, there is no plan to charge for parking. The next rumor, complete with the Grinch graphic, residents in Woolman will not be allowed to decorate living rooms for Christmas or other holidays any longer. So, here's the answer. There are no plans to prevent you from decorating the living rooms in Woolman. Just like has been done in the past, we are not anxious to quelch the holiday spirit. We are redoing the 4th and 5th floor, so you notice that those are empty right now while we finish refreshing those 2 living rooms. They are available for use if you need to cook in those rooms, for example. I believe they are available now, so unless you see the plastic barrier, please don't go in there if you see that, but if it's not up, then it is available for use. It is not completely, those 2 rooms are not furnished yet. We finished some of the work faster than we thought we would, but still waiting for the furniture. So that hopefully answers that rumor. Okay, and then request response. Again, just a few things that we've heard from residents and how we've responded. The first request that we heard was we need emergency pendants to notify staff when help is needed in assisted living. So very pleased to tell you that we now have new pendants. They've been purchased, programmed, and distributed to all assisted living residents.
That's great.
Now, yeah, thank you for that. Just like any technology, sometimes if something doesn't work, please let us know. We'll get it looked at. But fact is that we have those pendants working in assisted living now, which we're pleased with that. The next request was, can we add a second billiards table to the Wellness Center game room? Over at West, that was a specific request, and day before Thanksgiving, that happened. So there is an extra billiards table at West in the wellness, second floor of the Wellness Center above the pickleball court. If you're over at West, you'll notice that game room has an added billiards table. With that, Matt is going to give us a dining services update.
All right, thank you, Steve. I will provide some dining services updates real quick. But first, let's start with my friend Frederick Portinier. How'd I do?
That's what we do.
All right. All right. I joked at West that a Southern accent and a French name don't mix. So I'm doing my best, but Frederick's here. Here's a little bit about him. He is serving as our interim Director of Dining Services. As you all know, Carly left us for another opportunity, exciting opportunity for her. But we're excited to have Frederick here in the interim. A little bit about his background here. A lot of experience. You can see it up there. I won't read the slide to you. But a lot of really pertinent experience, good experience. He's a striper fisherman, and he loves to spend time with his wife and dogs. And I'll give the mic to him to introduce himself.
Hi, I'm Frederick. I'm looking forward to work with you during this holiday season. Love the campus, only been here for 3 days, and so I will see you in the dining rooms as at the tables and in the hallways so that we all get our steps.
Thank you, Frederick, and welcome.
Thank you.
All right, one more welcome. Gennaro Hernandez. Gennaro is in the back of the room here. Give everybody a big wave. Gennaro is our new, as of yesterday, one of our dining supervisors. So he will be joining the team. He brings a wealth of experience and knowledge as well, including experience as a owner of a restaurant in Texas, director of food and beverage at a country club, restaurant management and operations management in a hotel. He is married with 3 kids, and he likes to play golf. So any of you golfers, don't show them up, I don't know. We got some good golfers here. Okay, and Steve was very generous to call this an update. This is more of a, what are we focusing on right now? We've got some fresh eyes in here in Frederick, we've got some new supervisors. But what are we gonna work on? So we wanna continue to provide successful holiday experiences for you all. So Thanksgiving, we served almost 500 meals. And we look at that as a good sign. It's a sign that we're gaining back some of that trust. We've made some improvements, we've heard your feedback, and we're gonna continue to work on it. We recognize that we still have things that we can improve on, and we wanna continue to do so. But we wanna continue to provide those holiday meals because we view that that's a really important meal, and you've put your trust in us that you wanna eat here, and we appreciate that. That's not something that we take lightly. Consistency, we continue to hear this, and so we've kind of put this at the top of our list, priority-wise. Frederick and I have had some conversations about some training and things we can do from a consistency standpoint. We are renewing our commitment to that. Managing wait times, this pertains more to Cobles, but we do have some congestion at the door here as well, but we are working on that. Those are some feedback that we've received if you get Cobles. I do want to take the opportunity to shamelessly plug our reservation system here. If you want a reservation, please make those. It's a guaranteed way to work around that wait, but we are doing other things to work on those of you that don't want to make reservations. Some menu changes and refresh. So the Ruth is soon going to have a new menu. We have taken that to the dining committee, reviewed it. We got a lot of positive feedback. We've identified a handful of people, and I see some faces, so when you're leaving, if you see me coming and you don't want to be part of a focus group, put your head down and keep going, because I'm coming to ask you. But we've identified residents that we would like to participate in a focus group to really give us some feedback on this menu, because we feel really good about it, the committee felt really good about it, and we just want to make sure that we get this right, because we view it as a big step. It's a pretty big change from where we're at, menu-wise at the Ruth. And we just really want to make sure we get that right for you all. And then continuing to focus on menu variety and what we can do to keep things fresh for you all. And then my favorite little bit of humor here, pot pies and coleslaw, or as you may know them as the new green beans. So we're working on those two items specifically. We hear a lot of feedback about that. It is very in line with what we experienced with green beans. I will say we've put a lot of effort into pot pies, and I did see somebody give a thumbs down, so I hope there's more head nods and thumbs ups, but we're still focusing on that. We're changing some things up with the recipe and continuing to work on that. So those are two granular items there, in addition to this list of more lofty, big picture items. So.
I think you need to work on ice cream.
And ice cream. I've already made a mental note to try to snack some ice cream for Friday, just for Bill. So with that, I will turn it over to Whitney for a campus life update, and I'll be making my way around to grab some of you for my focus group.
All right, good afternoon. My name is Whitney Ariza. I have a couple updates for you. You've got a really large December Connection newsletter here recently, so we've got a lot going on in the month of December, so I'm just going to highlight two things. The first is we are starting a partnership with the Newcomer School, and if you remember, we collected school supplies for the Newcomer School back in August. It's the school where all of the new students new to the country, new to the United States, go to school for 1 year. We're starting a Lunch Buddies program where we will go and eat with the 3rd and 4th graders every Monday. So if you're interested in doing that, there's a sign-up sheet downstairs. You can also shoot me an email or give me a call, but we'd love to have some residents go. This gives the students an opportunity to work on their English skills. You might play some games, and it's only 30 minutes, so it's a short time commitment, but I think it'll make a big impact for those students and for us. And then the other thing that I want to speak to you about is we are now able to audit classes at Guilford College. This has been a long time coming, so we're really excited about it. In Icon, you can go on the tabs that are on the left, and you're going to click Life Enrichment, and then there'll be a drop down for Guilford College. That's where you will find a link that shows all of the classes. I mean, all of the classes. There's hundreds of them. We probably don't want to participate in the chemistry lab, but maybe we could. But it shows you everything they have, what times, what days, and then you would contact me or come by the Guilford Living Room on Monday between 2 and 3, and I can help facilitate getting you kind of signed up. We have to email the professor to get permission, but it's an easy process. So if you're interested, please check that out on Icon, or give me a call or shoot me an email and I can meet with you individually. But we'd love to have some residents going over there. And transportation is provided, so we'll pick you up at the front and drop you right off at class. We'll make sure you're not late as well. Can't be late to class. It's $50 for 4 credit hours, which is a very reasonable rate. And there could be other classes, or there could be classes that have an additional fee. Like if you want to do a pottery class, there may be a course fee for the supplies. Or basket weaving, you may have to pay extra for the cost of supplies. So it's $50, but the potential to pay for more if there's supplies involved. And then we have an event over at West, like we did here at Guilford, the Employee Resident Appreciation Mingle. West will have theirs. You're welcome to come attend if you like. There's going to be hot cocoa, but we'll do the same thing that we did here at Guilford. That's Thursday, tomorrow, at 2 p.m. Okay, I'm going to pass it over to Jasmine.
Happy December, everyone. I'm Jasmine Hernandez, the Wellness Director. I want to start off by any December birthdays? Any December? No one? Yes? Well, you get a chance to come to our birthday fitness assessment. And there's 2 sessions, December 10th at 11 a.m. in the LEC and December 19th at 2 p.m. in the Solarium, where you can come and see me. And I can sing to you if you come and do your function assessments. Yeah? Woo! Thank you. No, this is a great chance for you to really get a baseline to check your overall strength, your mobility, your flexibility, and then you can do it again next year to compare your results. If these sessions don't work for you, please reach out to either me or Kayla, and we can get you in and we can get your assessment going. But one of the big things I want to talk about is Contour Artist Showcase. We are now opening up and accepting any artwork performance from singing, dancing, writers, paint, woodwork, you name it, we have it. I have a sheet here that has an information packet. We have several of these in the Solarium or in the information desk where you sign up in the activity book. You can go in there and sign up, and in the back, all you have to do is put your name, the title, and the type of artwork that you're doing, and we can get you in. January, the first Friday, we are going to have our own showcase here at Guilford for all of Friends' homes, and then we're going to pick the top 3 and then send them off to do our Contura Artist Showcase to compete with the other communities. So we would love to have you. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me. Christmas Cornhole Staff versus Resident, December 13th at 2 p.m. If you haven't signed up yet, please sign up in the activity book or on Icon. Encompass Well Talks, that is our monthly Encompass speaker, and we are inviting Renee Kennedy. She is your massage therapist, and she's going to be talking about the benefits of massage and the techniques that she uses, and that's December 17th at 3 p.m. West Living Room. Lastly, Reindeer Trot. If you want to have a cute reindeer on, come and join us, or not. December 20th at 1:30 p.m., we invite you to come and walk with us around campus, and that is the Wellness Center entrance. If you have any questions, please reach out. I'm going to pass it over to Daryl.
Hey everybody, I'm Daryl Shores, I'm the EVS Director. Stand. I wanted to announce we hired a new housekeeping supervisor. He's specifically going to be working at the West Campus. Some of you may realize him. He used to work in the ground department here. He's been here for about 5 years. His name is Scott Rodenheaver. Spell that. It took me some time, but it is a great name. He's a good guy. He's been here for, like I said, 5 years, but happy to help whoever needs it. Other thing that I want to bring up is starting in January, on the 3rd week of January, is going to be our annual window washing. We switched to a different provider. Window Hero is their name. So it should take about 2 weeks, give or take. Starting early as next week, maintenance is going to be kind of working with us of going in the individual apartments, removing screens if they're interior screens. If they're outside screens, Window Hero will be taking those down, washing said window, and then putting them back up. So on that behalf, I'm gonna show, there's gonna be a map that will be provided for you. It's gonna go on icon. There'll be another letter attached to that, kind of describing a little bit more. There's a key at the bottom that kind of goes along with the color coordinating here. So kind of gives you a better depiction of when to kind of expect your windows to be washed. But like I said, starting as of next week, those window screens will be removed. The idea that we have is those screens will be removed, taken off, not off campus, but taken to a different facility. We'll wash those and we'll come back February time frame and put them back up. So this is just for those that are curious about how West Campus would work. Same kind of idea, but it would be after Guilford is complete. They'll make their way over to West and start there. On that note, I'm going to turn it over to Jordan.
Thank you, Daryl. Okay, a couple meetings to invite you all to. Let's see, next Tuesday, we will continue our Java with Jordan series. Yes, there will be coffee provided at Java with Jordan. How many people have been to that meeting before in the past? Oh, good. Well, that's encouraging. So, by design, it's a smaller group, and it's just meant to be a conversation. There's no presentation like this, no slides or anything like that. But I do bring some friends. Steve will be there, Mark from maintenance, Daryl will be there, and Matt from West. So we all will be at the front of the room, and we'll be surrounded by you, and it's just meant to be a two-way conversation. We endeavor to communicate in a number of ways, whether it's written, whether it's a presentation like this, or whether it's just an open conversation with you. And that's what this is. We just want to hear from you. We want to answer your questions. We might have some questions for you too. So I think that everybody who's been has found value in that meeting. And so I'm looking forward to seeing you all again, and I'm looking forward to seeing some new folks at that meeting. If you're interested in coming, please RSVP. You can contact Angela, or you can also find the RSVP on Icon. But if for whatever reason you forgot to RSVP, if you're really nice and sweet and kind, we'll probably let you in. Another meeting, the monthly building meeting. We've held a couple of these. What we decided to do is every single month, we're going to focus on a different building throughout Friends Homes. And we're going to provide specific information regarding their building related to security, transportation, maintenance, grounds, and housekeeping. Again, we want to provide that open dialogue opportunity. We want to answer your questions, and we want to provide information that we think will be helpful to you, that is very specific to where you live. Okay, we're going to do this every single year. Every building will have their own meeting, and we just want to keep information fresh, and we want to keep the lines of communication open. And so the next two that are coming up, we have one at Quaker Hill Lane, which is for Wes, on Wednesday the 11th. But on January 8th, we'll be meeting with the Ridgecrest folks, and we really look forward to seeing you all there. I see some Ridgecrest folks over here. I see one in particular putting it in his calendar. That's what I like to see.
Does that include cottages on Guilford campus, or are they included in number 1?
Ridgecrest are the cottages here at Guilford.
Cottages, 3 houses.
Oh yes, yeah. And let me just say, if you're interested in coming and maybe you don't live in these cottages, but you still want some helpful information, you can come as well. So feel free to join. Let's see here, cable TV update. We always get a question about the cable TV. This applies very specifically, again, to the Ridgecrest homes, okay? So if you live in this building, if you live in Fox, if you live in Hobbs, please disregard what I'm about to say, okay? This is just for the cottages and the apartments that you mentioned, okay? We are testing some new equipment. What do you say? Don't test it.
We've already tested stuff.
Yeah. Well, you know, what we are at a point where we are negotiating contracts with a provider, and guess what? Before we sign the contract, we want to test it and make sure it works. I think that makes sense, right? That is a good thing, is it not? That we test it first? Okay. So we've received the equipment, we're going to deploy it, and we're going to ask some residents to actually try it out for a couple weeks and let us know how the experience goes before we enter into an agreement with that company. So Matt will be leading that charge, and he will contact the identified households, and we'll collect that data, and then we'll make a decision.
Who's the provider?
That will not be shared at this time. It's a good question. It's a good question, but we want to really try this out in its purest form, and so we don't want any strings attached. We want to just go ahead and test the equipment. What matters is the equipment. What matters is the experience, not the provider, at this point in our search. I will say anybody who currently has Spectrum will continue to use Spectrum. We just renewed our contract with Spectrum, and so that will be in place for the next at least 5 years, okay? So nothing changes with folks that are in this building, Fox, Hobbs, okay? That's why I said disregard what we were talking about with Ridgecrest. As we do every month, we're going to review our financial performance. This is for the first month of our fiscal year, our fiscal year begins in October. Okay, it was a good month. Our net operating income is right here. We're ahead of budget by just under 150,000. We surpassed our expectations in revenue, and I'm going to use my pointer because I can't reach that high. We surpassed our budget by 180,000 in revenue. However, we also spent a little bit more than we budgeted, so our expenses were a little bit higher. But because of our additional revenue, we have a net operating income of just under $150,000. This is good. At the beginning of the year, you always want a cushion. As we get deeper and deeper into the year, it's good to have a cushion because you just don't know what's coming, as we get deeper into the year. Things can pop up, census can change. There's just things that happen, and you might have to eat away at that positive cushion. So this is good. We started off the year strong, and we're very proud of that.
Jordan, may I ask a question, please?
Yes,
Can
but I will say this, as we continue, if you hold questions until we get to the end, but I want to hear your question, but just going forward, we'll hold questions to the end. But what is your question?
Basically, could we have a written copy of, say, quarterly or 6 month financial reports, particularly showing results by department? It would be very helpful for some of us.
Okay, thank you for that suggestion. We'll have to consider that.
Okay.
We do put out an annual, or it's available, but by department, we'll have to consider that.
Thank you.
Let's see here. So our cash and investments, we're in a great position at 86 million, but I want to point out that we also have debt of 104 million. And so we do make regular payments on those bonds. And we've had a good year of investment performance. I think we're in a good position here. And so we'll continue to watch this throughout the year. Entry fees, we collected 822,000 in entrance fees. That comes from new residents moving in. We had a strong October. We welcomed a number of residents, some of whom you met today. And so we had a budget of 533,000, but we actually surpassed that for the month of October, which is great. And in the month of October, we spent 168,000 on capital projects. And capital projects are basically reinvestment into the community. Those are the elevator replacements or roof projects or purchasing equipment and things like that. So we planned to spend a little bit more, and we didn't. That's okay. Throughout the year, we'll be working on $4.7 million worth of capital projects. So there's a lot to get done over the next 12 months. Some that may be near and dear to your heart would be the Woolman living room, which we've been working on. There's, furniture will be purchased. We just purchased and we're in the process of placing furniture in the assisted living in Fry on both floors in our little living rooms. They started yesterday. We painted those living rooms. We placed some furniture, and we're working on the Ruth dining room. We're refreshing the Ruth dining room. So furniture, fixtures, equipment. We're looking at the dining experience in the assisted living dining area, which will be very nice, a nice improvement. We're hoping to add some server stations to hide what hide the point of sale, hide the bus pans, hide the supplies that currently are on display for you to see. We think that ultimately that'll help to make the dining room a little bit quieter as well. We're hoping. It's not going to eliminate noise, but we're hoping that, number one, it makes it look a little nicer. Number two, it might contribute to a little bit more peace. So more to come with that. We're working with a designer, and we also have a focus group who will share these ideas with the residents on that group. So, to summarize, October was a good month, and we're optimistic about November as well. So next in our presentation is a response to resident request. I recently received a letter from a resident that said, Jordan, we'd like to know more about Kentura, and we'd like to know more about the management relationship that we have between Friends Homes and the Board of Trustees and Kentura. And so what we've done is we've asked Tim Webster, co-CEO of Kentura, to join us today and to share some information related to that. And then of course we'll go into a moment of question and answer after that. So please join me in welcoming Tim.
Thank you, Jordan. A lot of new faces here because they asked the new residents to raise their hand. How many people have heard me talk about Kentura before, if you'll raise your hand? Okay. How many have not? Does that mean the rest of you have not? Okay, that's not everybody, so that means there is a portion that don't care. Right? Okay. Well, as Jordan said, I'm Tim Webster, and this is misstated here. I'm not the chief executive officer, but I'm the co-CEO. Some of you looking a little strange about that, right? But we do get that sometimes. So for the next hour and a half, I'll be talking about Kentura and its relationship. Okay, you are listening. I got that. All right. It won't be an hour and a half. We'll keep it maybe 15 minutes, and then you can ask questions. But first of all, Kentura closed a merger between the Wellspring Group and Brightspire on September 30th. And we have this name Kentura. Who knows what Kentura means?
Happy something.
I'm not seeing anybody raise their hand on that one. Okay, so we thought about a name like Wellspire or Bright Spring or whatnot, and that name is taken. Those names like that are taken. So we had to work with an organization to say, what should we be named, this new merged organization? And the kin, K-I-N part, stands for kindness, kindred, something like that. It takes kindness, and we take the kin from that. And then Tura is a Gaelic term for journey. So a kindred journey, a kindness journey. And we thought managing, developing, and operating senior living communities, it just, the lives of the residents, the lives of the employees is a kindred journey, and that seemed to fit well. So I do want to piggyback, Steve, on some of there's a myth going around, and that is now that Kentura is merged, Tim is retiring. The truth about that is false. I'm not retiring, and there's also another myth that Steve is retiring. That's not true either. So anyway, nobody applauded, or so but no, we're not retiring. So that is fully a myth. But really, the question today is, what is this relationship management agreement? Contura, what's the relationship with Friends Homes and the Friends Homes board? And before I move into that, I do want to recognize Friends Homes board members because they are responsible for the management agreement with Contura, Brightspire, and I'll explain this in a little bit, but Marshall Hurley was here. He's the chairman of the board. Real high, there's Marshall. He's been the chair for the last couple years, and we've extended him. Here's Bill Carroll, Ice Cream Bill, Ice Cream and Santa. Okay, Nancy Glenn's, I saw Nancy. Okay, I think they're the 3 board members, current board members that are here. I do want to recognize Dan Allen right here. He's a former Friends Homes board member. And then here, Elwood Parker, he's a former Friends Homes board member. So you can see the activity of the board in this community. And I probably missed somebody is there any other former board members or current board members I missed? But the board's really involved. So anyway, another question, and I think I'm going to get a lot of hands on this. So, how did the management agreement begin? How many people here know Wilson Sheldon? Raise your hand. A good many. Okay. So that's where this whole thing started. Wilson was longtime successful CEO here, and I have had the good fortune of being CEO at Brightspire, formerly the Presbyterian Homes, for 16 years now. But Wilson and I became friends. And this was back in 2014. We were friends way before that, but in 2014 we started talking, and Wilson did share with me. He said, "Tim, I'm 30 years in. I'm getting close to retirement." We just started talking about retirement living, what was happening out there, what we foresaw happening. I shared with him some of the challenges that we were facing at Presbyterian Homes. He shared some of the challenges that he felt Friends Homes was facing, and we started talking more and more, and he said, we should maybe get our boards together. There's some real synergies here. And so the boards did start getting together back in 2015, I believe, and it started out, it was going to be an affiliation, meaning we come together as one and so on. And we really got to about the 11th hour in which we were going to bring the organizations together. And this is just my opinion, it didn't go through as an affiliation, and I think it didn't go through for 2 reasons. We had a Quaker identity and a Presbyterian identity, and that was important to both groups. And we also had control, who would be in control, and that's important. So we got to the 11th hour, and we said, we're not going to go forward. But there were the Friends Homes board members that said, but there's still good reasons why we should work together. Is there something else we could do? And this idea of, well, Wilson's retiring, Friends Homes needs this, this, and this. Presbyterian Homes, you have these things. Could we enter into a management agreement? So in May of 2016, I can't believe it was 8 years ago, that's what happened. The Friends Homes Board of Trustees entered into a management agreement with Presbyterian Homes, and it's technically Presbyterian Homes Management Services, LLC. Getting a little legalese, and I'm not an attorney, and I know I've got one in the room, so I'll mess it up, but I'll give you my layman's view of it. Why is it that way? And why isn't it just Presbyterian Homes or Brightspire? It's because Friends Homes doesn't want to take the liability if River Landing, Scotia Village, or Glen Eyre, that are part of Presbyterian Homes mess up and you don't wanna have to pay for it. By the same token, if something really bad happens at Friends Homes, Presbyterian Homes doesn't wanna pay for it. We wanna pay for our own, our own way, so to speak, and that's why it's that way. It's to protect both parties. So, as I said, in May of 2016, we have this management agreement. So the question is, what do you get in a management agreement? So what you get is you get healthcare management, meaning the health center. Yes, there's a director of nursing here and at West, and yes, we have a healthcare administrator, but there's folks at the office that I have at Sandy Ridge Road that if there's a survey, there's extra support. Or if somebody leaves, we bring in a person to serve in their role. And we don't have to go without here, ever, okay? There's marketing support, the same type of thing. There's a marketing team here, but there's additional support there. If there's turnover, Friends Homes doesn't miss a beat. Fundraising. Bill Carroll's the head of fundraising today, and so if something happened to Bill, we'd fill in with Carson there in the back. But no, seriously, there's a fundraising program, and that's Carson heads that up here at Friends Homes. Public relations support to the dining program, support to the environmental services. The management company also works with the board. We help facilitate the board meetings. We do not make the decisions for the board. The board makes the decisions, but we help facilitate. We may bring education. We may help with strategic planning. All those things are helping to facilitate the board. We have administration, all the finance. Your bills actually come from Brightspire. They're done in that office and then they're printed off here and so on. So all the finance and so on is done there. Information technology, all the technology that's done is through the management agreement. Human resources, although there are human resource folks here, the whole planning is done by a vice president of human resources elsewhere. And then our risk management and corporate compliance, that relates to, we accept Medicare, Medicaid. That compliance is all done through the management agreement. So those are things that we get through the management agreement. That management agreement was renewed in 2018 and then again in 2023. And in 2023, it was extended through 2030. Now that agreement can be canceled by the board or by the management company with 90 days notice, okay? It's not just, a lot of contracts are just only if either party breached the contract. This is, we want it to be a win-win. If it happens to not be, we want an out for either party. The question in the note that Jordan got said, what about the financial relationship? So the financial relationship is the management fee is 5% of the operating revenues. So Jordan showed those operating slide there. It was that very top slide there, very top number, 5% of that. A normal management fee is 4 to 8%, okay? So we're on the low end of the scale. It just so happens, just because we're not in the business just to have 100 management fees out there, we do charge our own communities a management fee. The management fee here is the exact same as River Landing, Scotia, and Glen Eyre. You can see, yes, we want to cover our costs. We're not in it to build some, if you will, corporate empire. It's just to cover the cost of management because we feel like we know how and are efficient in managing senior living communities. So I think the only thing I would say is, do you know who works for the management company and who works for Friends Homes? And I don't want to make it too complex, but I think it's sometimes bodies help you understand who you get with the management agreement. So do you think I'm a Friends Homes employee or a management service employee?
Management services.
Correct. Is Jordan a Friends Homes employee or management services?
Management services.
I heard a mix there.
Management.
He's management services.
Right.
So in that fee, he is paid. He works really in my office over in on Sandy Ridge Road. How does he do? He shows up here every day. He's assigned here. Yeah, he said he doesn't make the 5%. But, so he is a management services employee, but he has said, you, be it Friends Homes, run that community, keep those residents happy. Okay? All right? What about this guy? Management services or Friends Homes?
Management services.
Oh, another mix. Technically, he's management services, but the agreement says that we pass that cost through. It's in addition to the management fee. So it's a little bit of a trick there. And I'll just tell you, the reason it's that way is for us to fully manage, we want him part of the management services so we can control that and make sure he's doing the right thing, okay? So I'll stop there because I could really get into the weeds on that, but we just wanted you to have overall idea of how this works. At the end of the day, I do want to say the Friends Homes Board of Trustees, that's who I work for. There's an agreement that's about 50, 60 pages deep, if you will. It defines what we're to do as the management company, and we're really controlled, but that's a harsh word. I don't feel like Marshall wants to control us or whatever, but there's something there in case Tim screws up or the management team messes up. These are the consequences and so on. And the board has some responsibilities that they must follow too. So any questions? There, we got a microphone just to make sure everybody can hear.
I'm not sure I understand the difference between Bright Spire and Kentura.
Yeah, let me start way back. A little history, and many of you know the history maybe better than I do about Presbyterian Homes. Presbyterian Homes started in 1952 to manage and develop and operate the Presbyterian Home of High Point. It started there in High Point, okay? So you have this entity, Presbyterian Home of High Point. Back in 2009, it might have been 2020, there was concern about the Presbyterian Homes name as we expanded and did a lot of different things in senior living. So the entity Presbyterian Homes continued, but we rebranded it and we did business as Bright Spire, okay? So then you had Bright Spire, but really it was Presbyterian Homes. It still exists, and it's complicated because of our financing. It still exists, but now that board combined with Wellsprings to form Kentura. So you kind of got Presbyterian Homes, Bright Spire, and Kentura. So now this new board, Kentura, controls all that, even the Wellspring and everything else. There's one board for all these corporate entities. Did that help any?
Yes.
A little bit?
A little bit.
I told the folks at West, we were there earlier, I really need a picture of that so you can see it. I'll get an org chart to Jordan, and maybe in a future meeting he can share that.
Good, thank you.
We'll come over here next.
Did you have a question?
Yes, sir.
He's good now.
Oh, he's good now.
We're doing such a great job.
Is Bright Spire and Friends Homes kind of on the same level?
No, yeah, so the question is Bright Spire and Friends Homes on the same level? I shake my head no. Here's the reason. Bright Spire is controlled by a Kentura board. So Contura tells Brightspire, makes the decisions for Brightspire and its communities like River Landing, Scotia, and Glen Eyre. Contura cannot make decisions for Friends Homes. That's the Friends Homes Board, all on their own, makes those decisions. We just get the benefit in managing of, there's these other communities and we can take best practices back and forth, and we can work together. We can take advantage of buying power together, and we do that a lot. A simple one is I have a cell phone. It happens to be a Brightspire or PHI phone. Where's Daryl? Is that a company phone? That's not. Oh, rats, you're not a good example. Do you have a company phone? Anyway, we have Friends Homes employees that have a company phone, and that's on the Brightspire plan. It's much cheaper to get a phone plan. Our phone plan has about 100 phones on it. Some of them are charged to Friends Homes, but they're at a much lower rate than if Friends Homes got them on their own. So we do a lot of group purchasing, but I got off track there. Friends Homes is managed by the Friends Homes Board. Contura Brightspire is by the Contura Board. Is there a question over here? Did I help you? You're looking at me like you may have confused me more.
So, Wellspring and Brightspire are Contura.
That's right. So you
So
got.
in a sense,
Yeah, that's right.
Wellspring is somewhat of a, I hate to use the term higher level, but they're not quite like us under Brightspire Contura. They're part of.
Yeah, I guess I would look
When you
at
say
it this.
management services, are you talking Contura?
When I'm.
Can't understand the question.
Yeah, so he's asking about Contura. Contura is a parent company. It controls Brightspire and Wellspring. Under Brightspire, though, is a management company that its business is to provide management services. That's where Friends Homes, and I wouldn't look at Friends Homes as below anybody there. It's just a line of business that Brightspire does, but Brightspire has no control over it. Okay? So Contura is at the very top within now Brightspire and Wellspring. Brightspire and Wellspring are on equal footing, but controlled by this Contura board. I will get an org chart, and that will help, because it's hard with me just moving my hands. But I'll get a picture's worth 1,000 words, I think, on that. Yes, sir.
Years ago,
Talk in the mic.
that's what I'm doing. Years ago, when we first formed our relationship with the Managing Services Organization, I was very pleased with the results. I was president of the board of directors here at that time. It was very well thought out and very well done. Now, the bigger you get, you perform certain economies. Those economies don't necessarily result in loss of service, but it can be a change of service that is not always beneficial to us here at Friends Homes. May I give you an example, sir? And I don't mean this as a harsh criticism. It's just a fact of life. We used to have the financial and insurance sections here daily to help us out with our financial and insurance problems. We no longer have that. We have to go over to a different entity which services all of those companies. For example, in my situation, when I put my wife on Medicaid, it was all done here, beautifully well managed. But when the change to performing the same service, it's not the same because it's over in a different location and the service is no longer available for enrolling in Medicaid. It just isn't there. So we do lose some things sometimes because of our size. And I'm trying not to be critical, I'm just trying to be truthful. Thank you.
No, you make a fair point, and I will say, everything you said is 100% true, except for you should not lose anything. And here's what I mean by that, is you're right, the billing person now is centralized and in, if you will, I say my office, it's not my office, it's the MSO office. She is there, but she is to be here and available anytime the residents need it. And if that's not happening, he needs to know, and I need to know, because that's not the way that's supposed to work. But yeah, everything else you said is fair. Our challenge is, you're right, bigger is, in my opinion, bigger is not better, stronger is better. Our goal is not to be the biggest or whatever, or bigger, but we do get bigger because we do need scale. And the reasons for getting bigger is labor is getting tougher, inflation is real, and we're trying to control costs and those things. But you're right, we give up something, because it's just having that person anytime you walk in that office is not as convenient. It's certain days of the week or by appointment. It's not as convenient just walking down the hall, oh, I gotta see billing and everything.
Just to be clear, as I understand it, the Friends Homes Board of Trustees is independent of Kentura's Board of Trustees. Right. Does that mean that Friends Homes Board of Trustees has control over all of its money and its investments, and Kentura does not make decisions for how Friends Homes trustees manage money?
You are spot on. Friends Homes has a finance and investment committee. They meet regularly, and then they report to the board. But the investment managers, when it comes to the money management, they come and meet with the finance and investment committee, and that's just the way it works. Your fees cannot go pay River Landing's bills. And just like River Landing's fees can't come here and pay your bills. But yeah, it's independent. You said it well, you're spot on. Yes, ma'am.
My question has to deal with the problems that many places throughout this round globe that we are a part of has a real rough problem developed because of past experiences and something that slipped. One thing that I have noticed when I moved from where I had lived prior to moving to assisted living was I had a map that showed me what the fire department in town had, in working with Friends Homes, decided was the best way to get people out of our buildings if there was a need for it. Not only did you have a map, you had an explanation and a list of instruction on how to get out of that building the way that the fire department has suggested that we use. Now, I have moved to assisted living, very comfortable, map on the door of the area, no instructions attached to it as to from where your apartment is, what's the quickest way to get out of the building. I would like it very much, and I'm sure there are others that have thought of this, if it would be reviewed with a member of the fire department on the committee and set for all of the different sections of Friends Homes building, Guilford, and that all sections have a map, and with that map, a detail of how do we get out of here the quickest, because unfortunately sometimes we aren't quite as level-headed. I can remember years ago, when I was on the national board of a blended denominational group, and there was a fire, and we had to get out of this particular building. Some of the women were wearing spiky heels, and were told, you've got to go down the stairs, and you can't use the elevators.
Yeah, can I have Steve address that? Because I do want to say, resident safety is of utmost importance, but those details I think
Yeah.
Steve will have.
My only reason for stopping off before I did was I wanted others to say, yes, we perhaps have had a similar sort of occasion happen. And get this out in the open to really discuss it, and then come to a conclusion with a picture and a fully detailed for each area where people live.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you for that suggestion. And I think that's a good example of a daily operational issue that Kentura is a managed service agreement, engages people like me to address on a daily basis. So I'll definitely follow up, myself, Jim Newman, just to get specifics, but I hear you. We certainly want people to be clear about what to do in case of a fire, and I'll follow up with you. Okay, thanks.
Hi, you mentioned that dining services, there was a support relationship with Kentura or Bright Spar. I'm under the impression that River Landing and Wellsprings, basically all the employees are your employees, but that's not true here. The top, or the culinary and the dietary here, are a Morrison's contract. So is that to our advantage? And you said if we had to make changes, how would that affect us?
So yes, you're correct. We have an agreement here at Friends Homes with Morrison's Dining, and it's what we call a contract arrangement. And yes, the dining director is a Morrison's employee. The chef is a Morrison's employee. There may be a couple others under that agreement. All the rest of the dining employees are Friends Homes employees. And you're also correct, yes, River Landing does not have that. It's what we call self-op and so on. And I will tell you there's pros and cons to either of those arrangements. So for instance, let me tell you the downside to River Landing's arrangement. If the dining director resigns today, I hope he does not, don't tell him I said it, but if he did, we would struggle to find a new director. And it may take us a month, 6 weeks, it may take us 2 months or longer, and we'd be without. Carly just resigned for another opportunity, but we had a hole there, and you met earlier Frederick. He came in immediately. Compass, Morrison's brought him in immediately. Now, I don't know if he's permanent or temporary, but we didn't have a hole, we didn't have lack of leadership for a period of time. So there's pros and cons there, and we're constantly evaluating. And I'll tell you, our Glen Eyre community in Cary has Morrison, so we're kind of a mix, and sometimes it depends on just what you can find in the marketplace at the time. The other thing where Morrison's really helped us when we expanded for the hub and redid the dining program at West, they're really good at that at the programming, and with our own team we would struggle with that. So it's not a perfect world in dining, and I'm mixed. I will tell you, and there's probably Compass employees in here, if we have no problem finding the talent, I'm for self-op. But it's not always the case, because we're pretty high dining. We can't just be a greasy spoon, if you will, and everything. I like a greasy spoon every now and then, but we have a pretty nice dining program. And so finding those people, we're competing with country clubs and different things like that, and it's tough for us sometimes. So I don't know if I've answered your question. I know we constantly evaluate, but
since you have more facilities now, the opportunity to find people is probably gonna get easier if you only had one or two.
I tell you, a dream, you get to something that now that we do have more facilities, we manage Friends Homes, I consider that too, with Wellspring in the village and the 3 other former Bright Spire communities. We have said a dream would be if we had a corporate chef on board and a corporate dining manager on board, so we could do more of that, and then really be out there recruiting and have those people in the background in case there's turnover or some problems or whatnot.
So
that's where scale would help us.
We're a little bit different than your other facilities from a dining standpoint.
You're like Glen Eyre, so we have a mix. We're not real consistent when it comes to dining. Other questions? These are good questions. Okay, Jordan, I don't see any more questions. I would finish with 2 things. I'm here today, the first thing is I'm here today, we want you to know. We want you to know as much as possible about what's happening and give you knowledge and education about what's happening. We think that's really important. The second thing, and probably the most important thing, is I just wanted to thank you. Because across the state of North Carolina, there's 63 communities, just like Friends Homes. In the Triad, there's 5 or 6 communities, just like Friends Homes. You chose Friends Homes. You put your faith, trust, confidence, and a lot of financial resources in us. And for that, I just want to say thank you. Because you could have gone many other places, and that means a lot to us, and we owe a lot to you, and we're just doing our dead level best to make sure we meet your standards, meet your, what you're looking for in retirement living. But thank you for choosing Friends Homes.
Thank you, Tim. I just wanted to provide one last opportunity. If there's any other questions, maybe not Contura related, maybe just general community questions, now's a great time to ask. Anything that we can address? Okay. Hearing nothing. Oh, we have one more thing to say. Let's see. Thank you. And Santa, I heard Santa's down in the lobby at Woolman. Is that true? Have we had a sighting?
I heard he's down there. There's been a sighting.
Okay, there's been a Santa sighting, so you might want to go put in a good word and see him down in Woolman, okay?
He's a real Santa.
Yeah.
He's real. It's the real Santa.
He had a little time off before the big day, and he decided to come to Friends Homes. So we hope that you'll say hello.